What is burnout? You may have heard of it. You might be wondering if you're going through it. But what does burnout really mean? In this episode, you'll learn what burnout is and how to spot it, how to get back on track or prevent burnout if you think you might already be going through it, and how to progress your career in a calmer way. And stick around to the end where our guest shares a framework to help you thrive in your career without burning out. Welcome to Architecture Business Club, the show that helps you build a better business in architecture so you can enjoy more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. I'm your host, Jon Clayton, and if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss another episode. We're joined by Anna Volas, a career and well-being coach who helps architects and leaders achieve and earn more. Anna's approach helps reduce stress, prevent burnout, and create a sustainable, values-driven definition of success. We are going to talk about burnout so that architects and business leaders can recognise it and hopefully avoid it from happening in the first place. So I think that a good place for us to begin would be if you could share your thoughts on what is burnout.
Burnout is not a mental health condition, and there is misunderstanding around it. It's a very important thing. And the other very important thing is that we see burnout as a problem, as an exhaustion in the end of a burnout journey. What we experience is a physical, mental, emotional exhaustion as an ending point when person is really, really tired of not functioning at their best, basically. But that's the end of the story. Let's say not the end of the story, but closer to the end of the cycle, because we need to understand that the burnout is a cycle that occurs in our life over and over again if it is not addressed. And we might find ourselves in different moments in this cycle. In the moments when we are feeling a little bit tired, but it's okay. Let's say we function, we go to work, but then it's getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. And in the end, we feel really exhausted. And we might find this, we might feel it at the end of the year, for example, as if we are finding ourselves now in the end of the year. But it can also occur monthly around the deadlines or in specific circumstances when other people's emotions are impacting us and draining us out. But very important is to understand it's a reoccurring thing, reoccurring pattern, reoccurring cycle in our life. And what I also want to mention is that burnout is a misalignment between who you really are with what you actually doing on the surface. The most important thing and the source and the core of it is a person who is experiencing a burnout, approaching life from their own values, needs, dreams, goals, and expectations, or someone else's expectations, someone else's needs, someone else's goals. Here, there is oftentimes a misunderstanding because we are in different style of relationships and we want to meet someone else's needs and expectations at work, the goals of the company, business, for example, right? Or in personal relationships, it's very similar. Oftentimes, and people who are having this tendency to burn out, prioritizing other people's expectations, needs, goals, over their own. If that happens and happens over and over again, your needs are not met. That person who has a tendency to burn out needs are not met. Expectations and goals are also not aligned with, let's say, company expectations, goals of the business, or other person as well, expectations in relationships, then that becomes a problem because then we are operating, that person is operating on the level of someone else's word and expectations and needs and goals, not their own. So that is misalignment. And burnout occurs oftentimes then That is very problematic, because then we have that constant pressure and stress, and that's internal and external as well, because of the expectations and needs of others. And then body starts to give in. We have a signs first, or another signs of the burnout: physical, emotional, and mental, and work-life balance management difficulty as well, which actually leads us to procrastination and not being able to meet our own goals, our own needs, and not feeling fulfilled and not enjoying life.
Where does burnout differ from stress? Because I think there's some confusion between what is the difference between those two. When is somebody experiencing burnout, and when is it stress, and like what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, I think starting with stress, stress on day-to-day basis helps us to address challenges, staying creative, staying upbeat, responding to everyday responsibilities and anything that will come our way. And it's something we experience in our body that makes us feel motivated and energized to take action. It doesn't block our ability to use our full potential and skills, and being creative in approaching everyday responsibilities and challenges. And if we have on day-to-day basis, let's say stress at work, we come to work, we have some stressful situation, we deal with the situation, and we have time in the end of the day for recovery, mental, physical, and emotional recovery, then we are having this act of bouncing back with a new refreshed energy and creativity for when we go again next day to work, and we are having another day of challenges and problem solving. And we have energy for it, and we have a motivation for it. That's the healthy, normal stress that is our human being nature. The problem occurs when stress becomes something permanent that we don't deal with on day-to-day basis, and is prolonging, is going from one day to another, and then becomes more permanent. And that's the stress that we experience, and the pressure, as I said before, externally, from the challenges that we are facing, and internal also pressure that I was mentioning about when we are living in that misalignment, being constantly all the time in those expectations of the company, bosses, other people, without addressing our own needs. When that stress is accumulating and we don't have a chance to recover, body starts to give in, and we have signs of mental, physical, emotional exhaustion, and then we are not able to, after a while, to meet our own goals with ease, with enjoyment, with motivations. And the burnout, as I said, is with burnout, if it goes too far and too long, sometimes individuals don't feel motivated to go to work at all, or feeling in the morning, waking up exhausted, or not being able to even stand up, like in the morning. I would say the final sign, but that starts much, much earlier. And as I said, becomes problematic when it starts with not coping with the stress on day-to-day basis. And when it's prolonged, that line is crossed, and then we are going into the burnout more than healthy coping with stress.
So it sounds like that some stress, as long as we get the chance to recover from it, can be a good thing if it can help us to motivate us to get things done. It's not necessarily something bad, but it's this prolonged stress without the recovery time that can then lead into burnout. So, Anna, what are some of the telltale signs of burnout that you've seen?
So there are 5 areas. The most common is physical areas. I think physical is the first one. We are noticing something is not okay. And it is chronic fatigue, sleep change pattern, or pain, headache, for example, For a female, it can be worsening menopausal or just menstrual symptoms and stomach gut issues. In psychological area, we have a feeling of hopelessness, forgetfulness, lack of clarity, and brain fog. That's also quite common. Anxiety and sensitivity to criticism, and also what I often see with my clients is skepticism, because there are many more signs of the burnout. It depends on the individual person. So I've mentioned physical, psychological, and there's behavioral as well. Responsiveness to emotion is more sensitive. Being highly emotional, there's a difficulty with managing anger. Change in a diet, oftentimes like a binge eating or not eating at all, skipping meals, skipping lunch, for example. Keeping obsessive control. And occupational, that's what is very important, especially for my clients, is reduce the job satisfaction and losing passion for work, the fire, the creativity as well, losing confidence, not speaking up on the meetings or sharing ideas, making more mistakes, and attention to detail can also slip out. In personal, it's breakdown in relationships, less social engagement, and a sense of not doing a good job at work and home. There's much more, and as I said, it depends on the individual person. It's important to spot what is not as we would like to feel and be in those areas. That's the key.
Anna, what do you think are the most common causes of burnout?
For the many professionals who are experiencing a burnout, is organizational change. I mean, there's a certain amount of fear and uncertainty there, lack of transparency, and in the workload, unrealistic deadlines, for example, or doing a double work because there is a lack of resource at the moment for an individual who is experiencing a burnout. Lack of compatibility with environment, that's very often very common. Lack of compatibility with the environment, so with the culture of the company, with the vision, with the projects. For example, for architects, that's very important to have an impact, to be in the topic that they are really passionate about. Feeling invisible, unheard, unseen. Not having a good relationships, let's say, with the bosses, with the managers, not being heard really, not being able to also voice ideas, feeling like there is a lack of communication there. But that is also tied to lack of recognition and reward. This is another cause and a trigger for burnout. Like our efforts are not seen, not recognized, not being rewarded by promotion, salary increase. Bureaucracy and control, and that's connected with fear-based performance and presentism. This push and pressure on being present all the time, like, let's say, clients sometimes refer to it as being watched all the time, or having to work not 100% but 200, like even more, giving even more, because that sense of being watched, being constantly all the time on the screen and working, and fear-based performance as well, based on fear as a motivator, not on passion, creativity, ideas, brainstorming, enjoyment, bringing that energy into the projects, into the process. So fear-based performance can be very difficult to manage, and lack of conflict in personal and professional relationships is also very common trigger of burnout.
I guess it can be a combination for many people. In your experience, Anna, how do most people try and overcome burnout?
Leaders and professionals that are reaching out, they really want to solve the problem. They really want to address that. But what they have tried before, and I can see that that was my journey as well, over the years working in corporate environment. Trying to address this problem by counting on well-being initiatives at work, which actually address only the surface and not the causes, not the roots of the burnout. So they are not really helping with burnout prevention. They can help gain a little bit more self-awareness, which is amazing, which is very important, but doesn't cut that cycle. That cycle of a burnout doesn't help to prevent it, really. Taking more time to exercise, that's the other one. So as a well-being initiative trying to balance and deal with the burnout, they try to put more into exercise, into sport activity, which actually does the opposite, oftentimes increases even stress, helps a little bit of regulation, helps can support this process, but again doesn't address the root causes and the causes. So only exercising doesn't help, really. This is very common, waiting for holidays and the weekends to finally catch up with the rest and recharge. But oftentimes after weekends and the holidays, when someone is experiencing the burnout signs and something is triggering over and over again that burnout response, oftentimes after a few days of working, after holidays or weekend, this person gets back to similar feeling of exhaustion, tiredness, mental, physical, emotional signs of the burnout are appearing again. Waiting for project deadline to finally complete. That's very common, especially for architects, I must say. That pressure around deadline and the workload around deadline is quite high. And oftentimes I'm hearing, I'm so busy right now. I cannot really, I'm just waiting for a deadline to finish, to close it. And then I will take rest and recharge. Oftentimes that doesn't happen just because we have a next thing to deal with, issues, some problems to solve, another project. Circumstances in the workplace are very dynamic, and we cannot count on the project deadline in order to rest. So this is not a solution. Ignoring it or pushing through, that's very often approach to burnout, to a problem. So trying to avoid it. Changing a job, not going for the promotion. So as a solution to the problem, changing the environment, but again, without addressing signs, causes, and the roots, in a new place, oftentimes what happens, burnout is triggered again if there is no strategy for it, for the well-being. And oftentimes it can be also a mistake, because once burnout is addressed well for the person, the opportunity for being promoted is opening up, and for being promoted, getting additional benefits or salary. That's oftentimes the story of my clients as well. So those are the ways, the main ways there are professionals and trying to deal with the burnout, and I can sign under them as well. That was what I was trying to do before I got awareness around how to really address this.
There's a lot of things there, like common things that people will do that on their own are not really going to solve the core problem. And fortunately, you do have a framework that can help with this. So could you please tell us about your DCP framework and how that can help?
Yes, and this is something I developed over years of, as I said, my own experience, years of studies and qualifying as well as a coach, and getting into the bottom of understanding what really burnout is and how to address it on training courses. And my background is also related to educational psychology. The very important thing is to see the results of that framework in my clients' lives, professionally and personally. So the first thing we do with my clients is that we first need to address and understand where the individual the professional is in that cycle of the burnout, and address this. Without that, there is oftentimes lack of clarity, lack of access to the resources, telling us who that person really is, what are the unique traits, personality traits, and the skills that are not used on day-to-day basis to basically perform, to feel well, to address the goals in personal and professional life. And it's very important to address that. So there are tools, they are really adapted to very busy professional lifestyles. Once they are adapted, once the cycle is addressed, that person can access the understanding, okay, what is my next best step? And oftentimes after addressing, supporting with the burnout recovery and prevention, using those tools on day-to-day basis, my clients are getting into understanding, okay, this is my next best step. I want to stay with this company. I want to move to a different department, or I want promotion. I want a salary increase, or I want to move to a different company, or I want to open the business, or I want to transition to a different industry. But without that, oftentimes, it's very difficult to access this understanding. So first, burnout recovery and prevention. If the recovery is needed or if the prevention is needed, it depends where the person is on that cycle of a burnout in their own circumstances and life. And then we have a clear understanding of career direction. And with that, and that's magic, which I love watching with my clients, is once this is addressed, my clients are getting so much energy, clarity, creativity, that innovation, that spark is there, that passion is back, because their full potential, who they are, is activated finally. Burnout was covering everything before, and once it's lifted, is wonderful to observe how clients are tapping into it. And we are working on this as well in that first step of discovering who they really are without the burnout, and where is their next best direction, what is their best next direction without the burnout, and without achieving it with the burnout tools. This is the discovery, the first step of this framework.
Could you tell us about the second step in that framework?
Yes, the second step is creating a replacement for the burnout, which is well-being strategy. If the burnout is addressed and the person can really prevent it for themselves with those tools for the future, then they can start replacing it with healthy coping mechanism and well-being strategy that is tailored to them, that responds to their own needs and their own goals as well. So we are making sure that the well-being strategy match where they are, but also where they want to be, so that they can sustain their well-being as they move to the next level in their careers, wherever they want to move. And when we have this strategy, we are simultaneously address strategy and plan for their careers moving forward. So exactly, we're clearing the path moving forward from overwhelm and stress by well-being strategy, but understanding what are the next steps for them, the best steps to take in order to achieve the goal they clarified in the first step. And with that, we are making sure their work-life management style suits their needs. So it's not over-giving, over-responding to something, and keeps them in a boundary. The boundaries are very important here, because from the boundaries we can give to others. From the boundary holds our energy and enjoyment, and fills our cup. If we are over-giving, we are not respecting the boundaries, that's where all problems begin. So making sure that a work-life management style, those boundaries are in place, and we are responding, and the individual is responding from that place, and keeping that clear as well and structured for them. So again, it's tailored to individual person needs, because every person is different and has different work-life rhythm, not a balance, rhythm. So that's what we are making sure in this step is happening, is creating strategy for career well-being moving forward and for day-to-day life, work-life rhythm. And the third one, the final one, is focusing on activating potential, really. So if we address in step number 1 and step number 2, if we activate abilities, skills, personality, that is visible in performance. That would be activated and work on in the third step to be activated in performance. Very often it's missing ingredient in achieving any tangible goal in a career. Being really yourself and using your own skills, abilities, traits, and staying with your creativity, with your ideas, not trying to copy-paste from someone else, but really staying with that. That helps individuals to tap into that, stay passionate, energized, enjoying the journey more than hassle and stress. So it's not anymore that prolonged stress and the hassle around it, but there is more enjoyment, motivation, energy, and that fuel for the performance from that place. And that's, again, wonderful to observe and have confirmation, actually, that yes, this is possible. We don't have to respond and perform from stress, fear, and burnout. We can do this from enjoyment, alignment, being ourselves, and activating our full potential skills in performance and staying motivated and energized there in this way. In the third step, in performance step, is activating leadership and confidence that happens simultaneously or organically in the whole process. That enables individuals to really thrive, live a joyful and fulfilling life, because that also spreads into personal life, families, kids, loved ones, friends, and again, it's wonderful to observe that. And tangible result of it is reaching the next level in the career. Salary promotion is unlocked through that process. In the end, we are working on that, getting clients as well. So that structure of clarity helps to perform on the level that attracts the ideal clients, that attracts ideal outcome, and also that attraction. That's the one thing. The other thing is that that performance allows and unlocks those opportunities, and suddenly individual can see those opportunities out there and has energy to achieve it. So those are the outcomes: new jobs, better positions, going higher in the leadership positions as well, getting salaries and the promotions. So that's the step 3 that we are working on with my clients: DCP Framework: discover, create, and perform.
Can you share a success story, a story of some success that you've had with this approach?
I want to tell a story of one professional who was already on high level in their corporate career and very experienced, working more than 10 years in architecture. And this professional was reaching out with this understanding that burnout is something normal, and this is a stress that she experiences is normal, and it is stress only. So that was a misunderstanding at first. She wasn't clear what altogether with that. She wasn't clear whether she want to fight a promotion or leave a company or even change the industry. That's very common as well for clients. So even I recall here one success story, and there are many professionals who are thinking in this moment when they are burning out about the changing industry or leaving companies. And she wanted to change something, but she wasn't sure about next career step. She was pushed back from being promoted a few times, and she was already doing a job that was level above. So even though she was pushed back, she was already on the level above. Over the few months we worked together, she gained energy back and learned to prevent burnout for herself for the future build well-being strategy for next career step and for her current situation. So she started feeling better, and she was creating it. She had a strategy with her well-being for a next level. What this helped with was easing the process, basically, because oftentimes professionals are afraid, if I have so much right now, how the next step, how the next level can bring more well-being. It will bring more burnout, right? So that was very important for her to unlock energy here and now and have that reassurance and safety that the next level, that on the next level she have already her strategy in place, so she doesn't have to afraid the next step. That helped her to understand, okay, I want to still fight for the promotion. So she got clear about that. And she also got clear about her ideal project she wanted to work on moving forward in her career, so in her long-term vision career plan. She also decided that she want to stay in the industry. What happened over the course of those few months, she got promoted. She received a salary increase and other benefits with her then current employer. And the wonderful thing happened that actually the opportunity to work on her dream project came up. She was ready to take it. And so she left the company after being promoted and receiving all of the benefits. She left the company and she started working with a new company, and she's progressing there really quickly. So it's really wonderful to see that she got to higher level and then got even better position with the next company, and she's progressing there, and she's enjoying her life, and she's feeling well.
What a great story. Anna, what would be the main thing that you would like everyone to take away from this conversation?
Have conversations with many professionals on different levels in their corporate careers, and also in different than architecture, high pressure environments from different industries. For me, the most important thing I think to say is, don't wait, address burnout as soon as possible, because the longer you wait, the more problematic it becomes. The longer journey of addressing it becomes, simply because this is our nature of habits, beliefs, emotional load that we are getting from burnout ways of living and working. If you spot the key signs, act right now, right here, as soon as possible. You don't have to know the causes right away. You don't have to know the roots. I would say that from the experience with the clients work in the different stage of the burnout. For some, there are years they have been in this loop, or they are just simply, noticing something is not okay. I need to take action. They are reaching out, they are coming, and it's easier than is 3 months process, not 6, not year process of addressing the burnout and all together with all other goals that individual wants to achieve. This process doesn't mean stopping and suddenly dropping everything what you are having in your life, what you're dealing with. Is doing things slowly, but differently, with different approach, different tools. That makes the difference. You don't have to drop everything, like go on a retreat somewhere, suddenly disconnect to deal with the burnout. You can do this simultaneously as you work. It's just a different approach, different tools, needs to be adapted. I think that's it.